All right, you grasshoppers. We are all over the planet today. Earlier this morning, we were in Kentucky with my old friend Elaine from Survivor. And now we had another old friend here, Johanna Goodness. Do I say that properly?
Godinez. I know, it's a mouthful.
From California. So how are you doing today?
Oh, doing amazing. It's a little foggy out today, but hoping that the rest of the day gets a little sun.
Good. Well, you guys have got to follow Johanna. Facebook and Instagram, are you on?
Absolutely. It's Life and Style Coaches on Instagram.
Life and Style Coaches. So you got to follow her because she's the dancing queen. She's constantly dancing here during this pandemic. Probably danced more miles than anybody else during the pandemic. Right? So you've had some fun. So what do you get going now? We were talking the other day, and you've got I know you're into all kinds of fitness and mental health and all that kinds of stuff. But you've got yoga classes going on now too.
Oh my God! So listen to this. So Yoga Alliance is a program that allows teachers like me to put programs together, and if they are up to par, you can certify them and then certify other people to become teachers. But these programs are usually focused only towards teachers, right? So someone who just wants to really learn about yoga may get a lot of things that they don't really need. So during this time, so yoga teacher trainings cost about $3,000 or $4,000. So sometimes they're very inaccessible for people. Yeah. And so someone who really just wants to improve their practice, why would they spend that much money, right? So now that we're in this situation, I find myself being able to offer the things that I do without having middlemen, without having flights, without having retreat centers, without having to give people food, without having to have all these things. So if I'm saving all that money, that means that I can save everybody else all that money. Not only that, because everything's virtual, I get to invite my favorite teacher from India, who has been my biggest influence in my yoga practice, to lead it with me.
Oh, cool.
So like, it's a way to understand the philosophy of yoga. So when I posted something in a book called Rise, or on a Facebook group called Rise Up, and I asked, what do you think of when I say the word yoga? And maybe 5% of people had it right. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I find is that most people relate yoga to the present day practice, but they forget that yoga is older than the Bible, and it wasn't like it's practiced today. So understanding the teaching of yoga, the actual meaning, philosophy, and application of yoga, that is the focus of my program, which means that anyone who wants to really understand yoga and how to improve their lives through it can use it as a tool now.
All right. So you've got the old far boy from Canada here that thinks yoga is a bunch of people sitting around a hot room doing funny stretches, right? So I have no clue what it's all about. So I'm getting the sense yoga is much more than stretching. There's a whole mental side to yoga. Is that correct?
Exactly. So it's all about the mental side of yoga. So yoga is based on, like I said, a 5,000-year-old philosophy. And it started with a book called the Vedas. And the Vedas were stories that people told about basically their experiences of enlightenment. So they would go on these journeys and then they would write about it. So the problem is that then you have thousands and thousands and thousands of scriptures of just people's stories, but not one cohesive idea. So that was 5,000 years ago. So 4,000 years ago, the Upanishads were written. And that was basically taking all of the teachings of the Vedas and putting it in a way that people could chant it and learn it. Yeah. And from there came Patanjali, which was 2,500 years ago. And he began what we today start to see as yoga, which is the 8 limbs, which is Ashtanga. So Ashtanga is a physical
hold on, are you making those words up?
I know, right? It's all Sanskrit. So yoga, because it's so old, it's in one of the original languages. So that just proves how old it is. Right. So what we're teaching, it's called Beyond Asana Yoga. Asana is a posture. So we go beyond the postures. We teach you the philosophy of yoga, which means that we go beyond just the physical asana or the physical posture.
So people are going to a yoga class today. It seems like are they understanding that part of yoga is this mental thing, or are they just going there to get the workout, right?
So, the major issue that we're having right now in our yoga community is that way too many programs are focusing on the physical aspects of yoga, and they're forgetting that this is a philosophy of life.
Oh, well.
So they're diluting what yoga means, and it's changing how people view yoga. And that is kind of what a teacher like Manjeet in India and myself here in the United States are really focusing on. We want to bring back the philosophy of yoga, which means that you never have to do a physical practice. You never have to do a posture. You never have to do that to practice yoga. Yoga isn't that. So it's learning the philosophy and learning how physical practice can help. And that's why I love that you invited me today, because this is what I want to clarify for people, because I believe a lot of people are intimidated by yoga because they think that they can't touch their toes. But you understanding how to control your mind and how to have focus and how to live life with purpose and determination has nothing to do with a physical pose. Oh, but that's yoga. So yoga is based on 8 principles, and they're called the 8 limbs of yoga. The first 4 are the things that make you a better person on the outside for other people. The last 4 are the ones that lead you as a human being towards your own enlightenment, towards finding your truth, your true self, and that place where you can actually love and unite with other people, because you understand that you're just a part of everything and everything is a part of you. So the first 4 have the yamas and the niyamas, which is basically the commandments of yoga. And every spiritual practice has things that people should live by, right? And they're how you treat yourself and how you treat others. And they're about being clean, about not stealing, about eating properly, about being truthful. It's just like any other thing. And then the next 2 are dhyasana, which is your physical practice, and pranayama, which is breathing exercises, which is just starting to be aware of the tool that is your breath to be able to focus your mind. So those 4 are what helps you kind of the body and whatever. But then the next 4 are the ones that we want to combine with the practice, which is concentration, meditation, withdrawal of the senses, and samadhi. And that's how you learn to control yourself, and you learn who you are as a person and what you came into this universe to do, and how connected you are, and how what that looks like.
Wow. So when you, I know, I got a ton of questions. I don't know where to start, but I mean,
please.
So when
bring
you,
them on.
when if you're somebody was to teach a proper yoga class, is that the way you determine that you're teaching a class?
So this is an actual training. So I am teaching. It's a 200-hour course. It's an actual course.
Oh,
so that you can understand yoga. Yeah. So it's called Beyond Asana Yoga School.
So
and
what somebody, but if somebody came in and they weren't looking to do the 200-hour class, they wanted to actually practice yoga, do they need to learn to understand? They need to understand all that stuff first before they can properly do yoga?
No, they don't. You could just incorporate yoga as a physical practice, but the thing is, the real benefits are in the mental practice. And that's where the disconnect is, like it should be taught as one thing. It shouldn't be as 2 different things.
So for somebody to get up every day and say, okay, I'm going to practice yoga properly, they need to go through a 200-hour class to learn all those things you're talking about now, to really understand yoga and do it right.
Well, they can do it in 200 hours, and they can do it like me and spend 12 years.
Yeah. But there's a learning that you just don't walk into a room and do yoga properly. You need to understand the background.
Oh gosh, no. So, so even in just the physical practice, the primary series of Ashtanga, which is a set sequence of postures that you do every single day, even to get through that practice, for the average person, it takes 3 to 5 years to get through the one series out of 6, which is the primary series.
So, so I don't know.
6 days a week. 6 days a week. If you're on point, 3 to 5 years.
20 years ago, probably, I was invited to go do hot yoga. So I go into this room and watch people, and I do yoga, and I think, okay, I did yoga. I really wasn't doing yoga. I was stretching or whatever, right?
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's the difference. When you don't connect yoga to the spiritual aspect of it, then it becomes a workout. It's not really yoga. And that's where the disconnect is right now, is that what's being called yoga is this power yoga, this booty yoga, and none of that honors any of what yoga actually means. Yoga means union, and it's the union of your external experience to your internal self, so that you can understand that you are not your experience and you are not your thoughts. This is a vessel for your spirit, which is just having some experience, a physical experience, and getting to see all these amazing things that the universe has brought to life. Because how stupid would it be if this amazing universe existed and not one soul had enough consciousness to be aware of it?
Say that again now. You got me there on that one. Say that again.
Ooh, I know. So this whole experience of the universe, right? Like the cosmos, the universe, everything that is happening in this life. If you and I didn't have this awareness or this consciousness, why would it matter? Like, who would notice it? Why would it matter? Like, what would it, like, something needs to experience it in order for it to even exist or matter. And that's why we're here.
So kind of like, if there's a sound, but nobody's there to hear it, is there really a sound?
Exactly. So if there was nothing to experience this majesticness, and it doesn't matter what you think created it, whether it was the explosion of the Big Bang or God or whatever, something created this majestic existence. But if there was not some being like you and I that had this one specific thing called consciousness to be able to become aware that this exists, then why does any of it matter?
Right. Okay.
So we are how whatever created this gets to have the experience of it.
So through yoga, do you figure out, okay, how did it all start? Like something had to be there to start with, to start the universe and everything. Do you get in yoga to think, okay, where did that thing come from? Whatever that is.
Well, yes, you can, and you can learn to ask those questions yourself, which is one of the coolest things ever.
All right. Yeah, no kidding. Because I guess I try not to say that I sit and think about it all the time, but I'm thinking sometimes like, okay, whatever it is, Big Bang or God, or whatever you believe in, well, where did God come from? Like, if God was there, like where?
Oh, so you're never going to find that answer. We're not meant to have that answer. And I have been told that nothing in existence that is conscious will ever have that answer. So people can spend lives thinking that they know or trying to find it or figure it out. You can only find your own answer within yourself of why you are in existence and what your purpose is and what your version of.
So to try that, we lost Joanna there. You there?
No, so it cut me off.
Yeah, that's fine. We must have a bad connection. See, I start talking about these big things now, and strange things start happening. And now we lost you there. So, but okay, so you say to yourself, don't even try to think about how it all started. Just concentrate what's your role in the whole universe.
Yes, and I'll explain to you why that works that way. Right. So let's say that you had a really bad breakup, and you haven't been able to move on from that breakup because all you're doing is looking at the breakup and regretting the breakup or thinking about how sorry you are that it happened and stuff like that.
Right.
Does that allow you the ability to move forward from the breakup? Right. It's the same thing. Right. Me questioning my existence is not going to help me do anything in this existence. Even if you knew, what difference is it going to make? If you knew who God was and what his purpose was, what does that change in your life?
Well, exactly. Very true. Yeah. Very true. You know, it's interesting. I had somewhat the same vein, but I had a couple of Navy SEALs on with me here, and they're fascinating people, right? And they, this one guy is Tom Shea, won the Silver Star, I think it was. He'd had some big battle, and the bombs were dropping and everything. One of those things, he got flown back into a room, and he got up and found the courage to fight, and obviously survived and got home and everything. And I said to him, I said, well, was there some like heroic moment that came over you that got you up? And he said, no, my training was to just concentrate on the next task I had to do. Right. So it wasn't like looking at the big picture, like, oh my God, I've got, my family's back. I'm in Afghanistan. I've got a task to do. There's an enemy 3 meters in front of me. I have to face that enemy. So the same kind of thing, right? Instead of looking at that big, trying to figure out the universe, you're concentrating on your place. Right. Well,
the only way you figure out the universe is by figuring out yourself. Like that is the key. That is why we're here. So, and I can tell you, I'll explain to you a little disclosure. If you have kids listening, you might not want them to listen. But so I was thinking the same way you were. I need to know what the purpose of my life is. Like, why am I even here? And that's what led me into part of my journey where I truly understood yoga. Because like I said, it took me 12 years to truly understand what yoga was and how to even truly apply it into my life. Because I, like you, got into it because of the physical practice. So I needed answers, and someone said to me that I should do ayahuasca. And ayahuasca is a shamanic hallucinogenic that opens different realms and connects you in ways where you can ask questions to the universe.
Mm-hmm.
So I went with a question: how do you win the game of life? Like, that was my question. I was like, I know this is a game because everything's a game. So how do I win? Because I am a competitor, right? So like, I have a very competitive spirit. So like, am I going the right direction? Like what is it that I need to do to truly make it in this? And under the influence, the drug, I call it Mama Ayahuasca. So Mama Ayahuasca laughed at me and said, silly girl, you don't win the game. You either play an influence or you're just like an ant.
Okay.
There's just nothing. You're just moving. So that changed and shifted part of the perspective of how I was looking at life. Because why does it matter what made me? I'm here for a purpose. Why am I here?
Right.
Who am I? What am I?
Right.
Why is universal source wanting to express something through me being here? What does it want me to create? We are all creators. We're the only beings in this planetary experience that have the ability to imagine something and create it out of thin air. Thin air. The only thing that can do that is universal source. But because we come from universal source more directly, because we have consciousness in a way that other animals don't, then we have that ability that the creator gave us. That is the part of him that is like him. See, I believe that the Bible has been misinterpreted in many ways. When God says that he lives through us is because he's experiencing this through us. He's actually inside of us. So the only way you communicate is not by looking for him outside. It's for looking for what is that part of him that's inside and what's the beautiful thing that it wants to create in this experience.
So I'm 62 now. So probably, the whole True Grit life journey for me started, I guess, 4 years ago, roughly. To say it started, that's not accurate, right? It kind of evolved, right? It's different than what it is now. And it is interesting what you're saying that I've learned through writing my book and doing podcasts to kind of look back at my life, particularly with my childhood with my father and my grandfather in particular, and the farm people getting up every day and milking the cows every day and taking care of their equipment and being totally loyal and faithful and caring to their wives and everything, and just the way they carried their lives. And I kind of looked at it, my focus was to play in the National Hockey League, it was like that toughness, and fighting all the time. And I kind of looked at my father and grandfather as I looked at them that they didn't do anything. And it's funny now that I look back at them. Now I realize
they were doing yoga.
Oh, well, yeah, they're exact opposite. They were heroic men, right? Because they just showed up every day.
Yes.
And did exactly what they're supposed to do. And I realized too that I'd actually learned from them, even though I didn't know I'd learned from them. Because so I look back in my career and things that I did. I was never the best player on any team. When I was successful as an agent, I clearly was not the smartest guy in the room. So everything I did, it just was showing up every day and doing my job and understanding what my role is, not worrying. It's kind of what you're saying, really not worrying about in this big picture thing. I've got to, like with the Navy SEAL, I have a task to do. I have a job to do. They had a task to do. They'd get up every morning, get the cows into the barn, milk the cows, do all the chores they had to do. So it is interesting looking back at that and kind of understanding, okay, why am I the way I am? And what can I do with what I have? Right. So it's been fantastic, really. Like, I feel like I'm so much better at everything I do physically and mentally as I've gotten older. Like, I feel like I'm better than I was in my 20s, so it's pretty cool stuff.
Absolutely. Man. Because this is the thing. Now you have experience and you've gone through lessons. Like when we step back, when we step back and we look at our life and we start, again, the benefit of you understanding that you're a part of universal experience is that you stop identifying yourself with the shit that happens to you. That isn't you. Even when you F up, that isn't you. That isn't you. You effed up. You might have been drunk, high, sober, just said the wrong thing at the wrong time, got misinterpreted. That wasn't your intention. Who cares? That happened, and that is now the past version of you, which is why I said moving forward is so important. Yeah. Because then you can forgive yourself and start moving forward. And that's the main thing. Right.
When I talk to kids too, I say that, like I tell them right off the bat, listen, a few things. Life is not fair and you are not perfect. You will never be perfect. There is nobody that's perfect. But it's funny, right? Because it takes a while. Like, again, it took me till like late 50s to understand, I did things in the past because, okay, like you said, I may have just made a mistake, or I just didn't know yet. I wasn't experienced enough yet to know the things that I should or should not be doing.
Well,
right?
I'm going to tell you another thing that's wrong with society right now. And it's that we do a disservice to our children by not teaching them this. Because how long did you say it take you to do that? It took me 12 years of seriously focusing on my life to learn something that I put in a book in 200 pages that could be taught in every school.
Right.
And now I'm finding ways to write children's books and to connect with children. Because the thing is this, if you are taught from the beginning that society is what tells you that you need to be smarter. Society is what tells you that you're not good enough. Society is what tells you that you're not smart enough. And if you stop listening to that crap and you start understanding that there is something that you have that nobody else has, and that's what matters, period. And if I can find out what that is and I can help you build it, nobody can stop you, because then you step into your power. And then once you're in your power, you are unstoppable. And you know what? Every single person out there. So I got to meet Brian Smith. He's the person that brought Uggs into the United States. Okay. So this is his story. He came to California with 500 pairs of Uggs. Okay. The first year he sold 28. He could barely afford to pay for the freaking storage unit where he had the other 472 pairs of Uggs. And when you ask him why he didn't give up, he'll say, because I still had 472 pairs of Uggs. So for the other next 2 years, he was struggling, but he kept moving. And one day he ran into some surfer dude and happened to ask him, dude, what is wrong with what I'm selling? And they said, the problem is that you're using fake surfers. And if you're using fake surfers, no one's going to want to buy your product. So then he started endorsing surfers and became the Ugg man. And now Uggs are everywhere. I mean, I don't know one of my friends in New York that doesn't have a pair of Uggs. So
that's cool.
It's just.
All right, we got a question here from one of our regular listeners here. I'm curious as to how old Johanna is. And like you stated, it takes years of experience to figure out life and your purpose and place in it.
Oh, so I am going to be 38 years old.
Wow.
But the reason why I was able to start my process a little sooner than most people is because I moved out of my house at 17, and I've been pretty much on my life journey. I believe that I'm an old soul. I definitely think that I was here in the 60s. I most of my friends are 60s and are in their 60s and 70s. So if my friends are in their 60s and 70s, and that's all the people I attract, my soul somehow connects with them. Like all my mentors are 72, 76. So part of it is, again, I always did stuff for myself. I always knew that if I worked, I could get anything. So I always knew that I could manifest. And in my life, the universe has led me to understanding what that means. So as a kid, I manifested anything I wanted. And then one day the book, The Secret, dropped into my lap. And then I understood that what I was doing actually was a thing. And it was called manifesting. And there's like a law of attraction. And there's all this crap that you can actually apply. And then I started to learn how I needed to manifest, to the point where last night I got pissed off at the universe because I was like, dude, 2 years I've been working on this project for you. 2 years. I need help right now. I need a team. And I threw something down and I was like, right now, within 24 hours, I have a team of 4 people in Pakistan that are doing everything that I need for free, because they're going to help me if I can help them. All because the guy, I hired him to do my website, and I was like, I need you to do everything that I ask you for $120. If you say no, then I can't do it. Because I am putting this program together with this guy from India, and it's 500 hours worth of work have gone into this program. And it's like, it needs, and he called me back and he was like, tell me exactly what it is that you're doing. And when I gave him all my information, he was like, I'm just going to do it. And just remember that we don't live like you do in the States. I was like, you make this happen, kid, and you will live like we do in the States. I promise you, I will pay you the salary of somebody I pay in the States. I don't care where you live. So, and that's how the universe works.
Right. So you get some people, though, that they don't have, I don't want to say it to be insulting. Maybe they don't have the drive. They don't have the confidence to take that step like you did and throw down the book and say, I'm just doing it. Right. Some people are constantly, they're overwhelmed with all the negativity and everybody telling them they can't do it. And, they just born like, I feel like you and I are the same way in that I've always been, and I don't know why, I've always been, I want it, I'm going to go get it. And it's not a matter of if I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it. And I think the more I've done that in my life, the more it's not even an option, right? If I want something, I don't think about it, that it won't happen. It's going to happen, right? So 2 questions is, why do some people not have that? And what do they do to get it?
Okay, so some people don't have that because they identify themselves with the voice in their heads. Okay, so there's a voice in your head. And if you want to read more about this, the book is called Mastery of Self by Don Miguel Ruiz. And it's just the easiest way. He found it the easiest to explain, I think. So imagine that you have an ally and a parasite. Your ally is the one that's like, you can do this, bring it on. No. Your parasite is the one that's like, you're not good enough. There's no way you can do it. Whoever you feed gets fat. Whoever gets fat takes up space and will drown the other voice. That was the first question. So that's how people get into that space. And that's how they become into that space. So when you identify with either of them, because by the way, your true self is none of them. Your true self is the one that's watching yourself having that conversation and being like, I'm going crazy right now. That is your true self speaking. The one that's like, I can't be living in this space in your mind with this. Yeah, that's the true self attempting to breathe through you, but your thoughts don't even let it speak to you, right? That's the true self. So how do you do it? What do you want?
What do I want?
You've got to ask yourself.
Okay.
That's what do you want? Become aware. Who are you? Who are you? What do you want? And it's not outside of you. It's not in God. It's not in your parents. It's not in your situation. It's not in COVID. It's not in the person that broke up with you. It's not because you're homeless. Who are you inside? Because that homeless person is still not a homeless person. That's just a shell that's found themselves in a messed up situation. That's still not who they are. Who they are is that person inside that's aware that this body just got itself in this situation.
Okay.
People don't explore that because we're not taught to explore that. Because if we explore that, then we can't be controlled.
Right.
And now that's going into deeper subjects that we do not have to discuss today,
Totally,
because that's much more deeper than.
That's one of the things I've come to learn over the years, that, we watch, like with TV and everything, we watch, like, Monday morning is some terrible thing, right? Or Wednesday is hump day because you're just trying to get through the week, or thank God it's Friday. Or now when it gets cold, they call it a polar vortex now. It used to be just cold. Like we're just, like you said, we're getting controlled to think a certain way, where you just stop, like, and say to yourself, I'm going to think the way I want to think. It's cold. I'll put a jacket on.
While we're worried about COVID, there was just like a potential like Cuba Missile Crisis situation just averted. Are you listening to that?
No.
Have you heard about it?
No.
Yeah. Oh, but it's happening. Oh, but COVID. Yeah. Not a nuclear missile being in Venezuela super close to us. No, that we're not going to tell anyone about that, because that would just blow them to smithereens. They can't survive that. Yeah. They don't need to know that. COVID is what we're going to tell them. So, and that's where we are controlled by the media. And until you stop putting your phone down and starting to listen to your internal self, we are kept in a state of hypnosis where nothing allows your true voice to come out, because there's always noise.
Yeah.
Your voice can't, your true voice can't speak either through the noise that you're creating or the noise that you are having from external. Right. So whether your mind is just or you have.
Don't you think you can really train your mind too? Like, I find myself with my routine, I'll get up at 3:30 in the morning and making the bed perfect and all that kind of stuff. People kind of at first, I be honest with you, people kind of look at you like you got two heads, right? Like, what are you getting up at 3:30 in the morning for making your bed? And then there's a little bit inside of me. It's like, geez, am I doing the right thing? Now I've trained my mind to the point where, no, I'm doing the right thing. Everybody else is doing the wrong thing, right? I know that's
exactly.
Not but
and that's where people, because we're told that we need to be like other people, that's where it starts being crushed. Because whenever somebody says I'm crazy, I'm like, I am in the right spot. I'm doing the right thing.
You don't want,
because if everybody agrees with you, you're not doing it.
Right.
You're just everybody knows.
You don't want to be different just to be different. But you want to do what you think is right. If everybody else happens to be doing it with you, then it's good. Yeah, I agree.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because So you asked me what we can do about that. So first you become aware, right? What do I want? So, and I'm going to give you my example because my example is big, right? So I want to change the education system in the United States. I want to make it so that kids understand that they are amazing and that they have a uniqueness and a power within them. And now that's what they need to explore so that they can make something out of themselves and live a happy life. That is my goal, to have Humanity 101 taught in high schools. So huge. I have no idea how to do that. I don't know anyone in the education system. I'm not politically associated and I don't want to be. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that are involved. But what can I do today? 2 years ago, I started a nonprofit that helps kids through hands-on activities figure out what they like and then promotes them going into programs that develop them for who they are, whether that's in real estate and finances, whatever. I wrote a book where people can learn these teachings already. It hasn't been published, but the people from The Secret have it. So hopefully it won't be a secret anymore. We'll have the answer, and that'll be the answer. I've been able to connect with someone that's in like the Scholastic book community to see if I can create children's books that will teach these lessons like in a coded way so that kids can start incorporating self-expression through books, right? So it's thinking, what can I do now? If no one's investing in me and no one's doing anything, what can I do? I can use my freaking brain and I can get creative. And my thing is, so you start with your main thing that you want to create, which is way up here. And then you just start saying, but before this would have to happen. And before this would have to happen. And then that brings you back to today. And then today you decide, I'm spending this much time, I'm spending this much money, I want it done by this date. And then you start asking the universe, but you are specific. And whatever you said that you were giving, you need to commit to that because the universe is going to start moving pieces so that you can start getting the opportunities that'll get you there. So when I put it out into the universe 4 years ago that I wanted to change the world, I never thought I was going to write a book. I'm a freaking fitness instructor. Are you kidding me? I do have an MBA, but it's in business. It's still not in writing. I never thought I was going to learn all of these things. But then Napoleon Hill spoke to me through a book and told me, listen, I started this and I couldn't finish it. Maybe there's something you can do with it. And a book got published in 2011 just so that I could get an idea of how to keep going with my project. The universe had to do all that.
You know, it's interesting you talk about the youth too, you know, teaching the youth what they can do. I get asked to speak to a lot of coaches, you know, youth hockey and other things. And I explain to them what a big role they can have, you know, and there's so much pressure on them. Do they want to try to win, or do they want to try to give everybody a chance to play, you know, like the participation ribbon and like that kind of stuff. And I said, well, listen, they're one and the same. I said, if you want to win, you've got to have each one of those boys or girls on your team, whatever sport it is, feel like they're stronger athletes at the sport that they're playing, but they're also stronger people mentally and physically. So you as a coach has a huge role in that. There's so many things you can do to that. You can teach them that it's okay to fail. In fact, failing is important because now you go back, you failed at something. Now you go back to practice and you practice the skills you need. So the next time you go to perform that acting that you failed at, now you'll be good at it. And now you go to yourself, wow, I can do anything, right? You start to believe, okay, I made a mistake there. I didn't get it done before, but I taught myself that now. It doesn't mean I can't do it ever. It means I couldn't do it that first time. So I try to explain to the coaches, that's if you want, we want to win because you want the process that goes into winning. That's what's important.
And that also helps them focus on, because when they see things that way, then when something bad happens, instead of thinking about that, because when you're thinking about the bad stuff, then you're not noticing, man, I'm much better than these guys at this other stuff. That's really what you need to be focusing on.
Just get to work. You couldn't do it before, so don't worry about it. Get to work. You do it. I think it's, you understand the coaches that coach you, they spend hours and hours trying to help kids, and it's a thankless job. Mm-hmm. But there's so much pressure on it to win, where I try to say to them, well, you're going to win, but you're going to win by building up each one of those boys and girls, making them stronger. So I agree with you totally on that stuff. I think that's a huge thing with kids. I mean, they get stuck on social media so much, and you get on Facebook and everybody else is laughing. They're thinking, well, my life must be terrible because everybody else is laughing and having fun. It's Facebook, right? It's
it's not real life. I truly understood how fake everything was when I stumbled into modeling and I got my first set of pictures back, and I realized like that looks nothing like me. Like they photoshopped the shit out of everything, and I'm like, and I didn't even pay for these pictures, and they're not even going anywhere, and even they are photoshopping those. So I was like, oh wow, like that's how seriously like this is like made up.
Right.
So yeah.
So the big thing where we all started, that this yoga, real yoga, is this. It's a long process of learning what yoga really is and who you are in the universe.
Yeah.
And your value in the universe. Okay, that's cool. I never would have, when you tell me about yoga, I thought, okay, we're going to do some stretches or something. But guess there's a little bit.
Basically this program. So I found a way so that everyone understands how to apply the philosophy into their lives, whether that's someone. So what you did with those kids with coaching, I did with people on the racetrack. People would always focus on, oh, this turn, I'm messing up this turn, I'm messing up this turn. But then if there's a turn that they're killing everyone in, that's the turn they need to focus on. They need to focus on, how do I pass two people in that turn so that when we get to this other turn that I'm not good at, they're so far behind me that it doesn't freaking matter. By the time they reach me, I'm going to be hitting the apex and I'm out. And I'm back into the turn where I'm going to pull away from them. And that's where you have to figure things out for yourself. But again, when you're consistently looking at outside things, it's hard to step back and take responsibility. And the problem is when we don't take responsibility, then we don't know what it is that we need to work on or that we need to improve on. And that's the purpose of figuring out, again, going back to being aware. It's like when you start to figure out who you are, then you can figure out like what parts are the ones that I need to work on to make what I want happen.
Right. So that whole thing too, I think, again, you and I are agreeing on this, where, people talk about getting stronger. People go to a gym all the time and they work out. Well, you can do definitely not easier, but you can definitely do the same thing with your mind and your spirit, right? You can train your mind. And to me, it's way more important to train your mind first to be stronger. Your body will follow. Right? I just believe that the body does what we tell it to do, right?
So our yoga program basically teaches you how to use your mind and how to do it, and what tools you need to do, because there are steps and there is a process, and like if you incorporate it, it can happen. And that's why it's called Beyond Asana, because you don't even need to actually do a physical yoga practice. However, it does teach you how yoga relates to your body. So for example, have you heard of the chakras before?
They live down the street, I think, don't they, the chakras? Or no.
So the chakras are energy centers that the Hindus believe in. They're basically connected to the meridians in Chinese medicine, or what we know in our medicine as nerve bundles or nerve endings, right, that are along our spine. Mm-hmm. So when you're imbalanced in your life in certain parts, like if you're feeling lack of security, or if you're feeling like you're not trusting people enough, like you can literally use yoga postures that don't have to be very hard to help you deal with those issues that you're having in your mind and you're feeling in your body. Like you can connect yoga in an also more energetic level, so that as you're understanding who you are, then you have tools to actually help yourself grow out of that.
Oh, that's cool. All right. So you're writing a book now. You're in the process
the
right?
Book's been written. Yeah. I turned it into Beyond Words. They published the book The Secret and created that movie with Bob Proctor. So, I mean, that's the best people that could have it in their hands. I'm hoping that something happens from that. If it doesn't, it doesn't matter. Then it wasn't meant to be, and I need to move on to the
title of your book? What is the title?
Excuse me? It's called The Power of Being Human.
The Power of Being Human. You wrote that. That's excellent. Great.
Yes.
So this yoga class that you've got going, people can reach you or try to register for that. Where do they do that?
Yep. BeyondAsanaYoga.com, or if they want to call me, as always, 815-501-5070. They can give me a call. And even if they just want to chat, even if anything I said like offended them or they loved it, I'd want to hear either way. I like to play both sides.
You're on Facebook and Instagram, all that stuff?
All of it. Life and Style Coaches on Instagram, and just Johanna Godinez. But if you search my name, there's not a lot of me. So you can find me.
You got a lot going on. That's great. And you recently got married as well. Your husband's but he's over in Ireland or something.
He's in Ireland. Yes. Okay. Oh, Lordy. Yeah. With all of this COVID, I was supposed to meet him in Canada, and he had to leave Canada. That was in April. And
Oh,
now he's stuck in Ireland, and I can't get into Ireland because from here
yeah,
they're not wanting
yeah.
people to really get there. So we're figuring out what country in the world we're gonna meet. Probably Nicaragua or somewhere in
Oh,
Thailand or somewhere like that.
oh,
In
cool.
September or October, I'll see him.
Good. Well, you like you've done a lot. I know and we joked around about it at the start of the show, but when you get on, you do your dance. I think it's really good for people too. When we have a show we have on Thursday afternoons with a bunch of old hockey players, and I think it helps a lot of people. We're having fun and joking around, get our minds off what's going
Oh
on.
God, if you ever want me to join that, it would be an honor. That would be so much fun.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that to you. That's not fair. Not with these guys. We're not. All right, it's great to see you again.
It was so great to see you. Thanks for having me. It's always awesome to talk to you.
All right, see you later. Bye, guys.
Bye.